What's good, guys? Thanks here, back with another video. So this video is gonna be optimization for the new Simpsons season. It includes pretty much most of the stuff that I use and you need for performance in Fortnite. If this video gets maybe 20 or 30 likes, I'll just do a complete one with like a lot more stuff that some pros and some tweakers do on some people PCs for maximum performance for Fortnite. I can also add like some stuff for BIOS, but yeah, if we reach that goal, I'll just make one. But let's begin. So first thing you wanna do is restore point. So you just go to the folder and then create restore point. In my case, I'm using my own script ISO. Restore points is not really a thing. But if you wanna be safe, just make one. In my case, as I said, I don't have it, and I also know that everything here is safe, so I don't really need it either. Then you wanna go to NIP, which stands for Nvidia Inspector Profile. You wanna open this, and it's gonna look like that. So that's pretty much your Nvidia settings in Nvidia control panel. And this application modifies every single option that's in Nvidia Profile Inspector, as well as some other ones which are hidden and doesn't really exist in the Nvidia control panel. So what I want to do here is you either want to move this a little bit to the right, then you want to drag the global inside, or click on import profiles and select the global. In my case, I already have these two profiles applied and I modified it a little bit extra, so I don't want to redo it myself. But this is pretty much all you need, so just drag it, then apply once. Then you want to go on the search bar, type Fort, and click Fortnite. Do not fully type Fortnite, otherwise it's not going to detect the profile. And that's your Fortnite profile now. So again, the same thing, you either drag, so in this case I'll just drag it, and then if you go down, you'll see it applies the filters, which is what I recommend. Now, some stuff might be a little bit glitchy, however, it should not be really noticeable, since the Simpsons season does not really have that much of like places that can get glitchy with the textures as in the past seasons. So you should be fully safe with these two values. Otherwise, if you have any bugs with visuals, just wanna go here and then lower bot to 3750, then apply, and you should be fine. So in my case, I don't really need to touch anything. Then another thing, you wanna go back to global. If you play other games besides Fortnite, let's say something with ray tracing, the global profile disable ray tracing. So if you have an RTX GPU and you use ray tracing, you wanna revert this too. So you just click that, the Phantom bot, and then you have pretty much again ray tracing working after you apply. Or if you wanna keep the global profile with RT disabled, you can just manually go and find your game over here if it exists. For example, let's say Fortnite, if it had like ray tracing or something, and then just go back and then default only for Fortnite. So whenever you launch that game, you can just enable or have ray tracing for that game and still have disabled for anything other beside that. Then pretty much everything else is like done for you. R bar is enabled, it's set properly. Now, if you have a GPU that does not support R bar, that's fine. It's still like pretty much whatever here. Shader cache is on unlimited. Some people might set this to like 10 or 5 gigabytes. Yes, unlimited will use more disk space, but at the same point, you only know at the same time you're not really gonna max it. It's not gonna use like 5,000 gigabytes or more than maybe 2 or 3 gigabytes of storage for like a few months. So you're fine with that, just keep it unlimited. Thread optimization, it's on. You can also do off to. On Fortnite specifically, off can give you slightly more FPS on some systems. In my case, off is better, but for the sake of like having stability for everything, I just keep it on or off to. And that's pretty much everything for the profile inspector part. Then you wanna close, then run this bot. It's gonna close on itself, and this pretty much deletes anything that Nvidia has as a botware. If you watch my past videos on how to do DDU and Nvidia clean install, like the botted drivers, this would not really make anything for you since Nvidia clean install already does most of this for you. But if you're someone that's new to the channel, then this will pretty much clean out the botware from your driver. Then you wanna go to Fortnite configs, then simply here, data, local, Fortnite game, saved, config, Windows client, then delete whatever you have here in your folder, then just copy both this and drag it down. Now in my case, I already have them applied, So as you can see, engine is already optimized with settings that does not really exist. Now, some of this might be presetable and they don't work anymore, but this pretty much works. Because if something from this thing works, it's pretty much enabled to the best setting for you. Then game user setting, pretty much everything is done. Grass is disabled, latency is disabled since we have in profile inspector on. DLSS and all that bullshit is disabled. Disable mouse acceleration is disabled. Then our video playback is also disabled. And the only thing that you wanna do is change your resolution. So by default, I made the game user to 1920 by 1080, which is Full HD, and the refresh rate of the game is on 0, which means unlimited FPS. You wanna change that to whatever you use. So let's say you have 240 Hertz, you wanna put 240, or if you want to play with higher FPS and do better again, but you may have to make sure that you are actually capable of doing that. So let's say you have 240 Hertz, but you're able to hold 360 for most of the time, then you can do 360. But it is recommended to do 240, or you can double that. So 240 x 2 will be 480. Now, if you want to do that. So in my case, my monitor is 480 Hertz, so I can just do 480, but I do play on unlimited, so yeah. Then resolution, in my case, I use 750 by 1080. That's my preferred resolution. In your case, it's going to be Full HD here. You can either change that to stretch if you use stretch, and so on. Then resolution quality is set to 99, which is 1% below the default. This will give you a slight benefit in FPS. Then everything else is on zeros, and the performance mode is set to DX12 performance mode, since the reason behind that is that DX12 will be forced in the next season after The Simpsons or the next future season. It is confirmed by an Epic employee that the DX12 performance mode will become the only performance mode eventually. So it is recommended that you get used to it now. It also gives better average FPS than DX11. Now the max FPS is a little bit lower than DX11, but it is not really something crazy about it. And you should always care about the lows, not really your max FPS. Anyways, so that's what pretty much we done here, which is DX12. Then you wanna close that, wanna go back, regenerate it, paths, and then you have a bunch of paths which I've also explained what each does. So just copy that, regenerate it, paste, and then you wanna set it to 26. In my case, it's already 26. Then if you're not sure what this do, I've pretty much, as I said, added whatever it does. You can also Google this or use ChatGPT to confirm that what I'm saying here is true, or if it's optimal for you. Then you wanna go to network system profile. So in my case, I'm not using the values that I've mentioned. I'm using ones that I like, but the system responsiveness matches, which is like what I said here. But for you, you wanna set to 8 defs and 0, or you can try my settings, I guess, if you really like. Then games, you wanna set to 8.6 high, 8.6 high. Some people might experience better performance with 12 instead of 6 as well, so just test it out. As I said, it depends on system to system. In my case, both 12 and 6 performs about the same, so I just set it to 6. Game DVR, I do not have it as it's stripped out from this window, so it does not even exist as a path, but in your case you're gonna have both of this existing, so just change AWO Game DVR to 0 and App Capture Enable to 0. Then you wanna go to data collection, which is some stuff from Microsoft bullshit. Then you wanna set that to 0. Then you wanna, again, disable that one, which is again something from Microsoft for bullshit. Hibernation, which is thingy for powers. You don't really need it if you're on a desktop PC. If you're on a laptop, keep that, otherwise your laptop might overheat. In my case, I'm not on laptop, so I have both of them 0. Then you want to disable global user disabled. It's on 1, it's on 1. DRSH, which is for the widgets, it's on 0. Then menu show delay will be on 0 as well. Menu show 0. And then the last one will be the global time resolution, which only works on Windows 11. So if you're on 10, this does not really do anything for you. But on 11, this will fix your timer. So if you do a timer test, it will display that you're about 15 ms or 14, depending on how your system is set. Sometimes it might be actually higher than 15. But yeah, you set this to 1, and after PC restart, it will be to 1 ms or about 2 ms, like 1 something, if it's again not really set properly. And this will fix pretty much your timer for Windows, and everything will feel like way better. Then the next step will be Discord. So you want to open this, it will automatically close Discord, so just run. And it will say, do you want to queue Discord? Click yes. And now for you here, we'll have like some checkboxes. Just click the bold Discord, don't really mess with anything here. In my case, I've already done it, so I can't really do it. Then you want to go to Discord path. You want to go to app. And the thing you want to do is block updates. So you're gonna have most likely a Discord icon somewhere on desktop if you install Discord, or you can maybe have it pinned as me. What you wanna do is unpin it and delete it from Discord. Then go to the folder that I set, which is the path, and then do that and pin that. And always run Discord from this one. This one prevents you from updating Discord. Then you wanna go to modules, and I've already debugged a little bit more than that application. So if you wanna, you can copy that and just have this 4 folders, otherwise skip whatever you have after the 2. Then walkouts, you're gonna have a bunch of languages here, just make sure you have only one, which is US. And you're pretty much done with that, like there's nothing really else that you need to touch here. Then optionally, you have this one, which is actually better, and you don't really need to mess with any bullshit. You can still update Discord and all that normally. So what this will do is just pretty much an application that limits your usage, your CPU usage and your RAM usage with Discord. So as you can see from the image, he's getting 0.4% and 21 megabytes usage. With Discord fully working, you can still join calls, you can still share screen and all that bullshit. But this will run in the background, kind of like a bat file. And I'm not sure if it's like flagged by anti-cheats, that's why I've said maybe risky. I don't really use it because I don't really mind the extra few megabytes of Discord, since yeah, it's not really a big deal for me. But if you're on lower end, then this will help a bit with RAM usage and CPU usage if you use Discord in the background. But again, use that on your own risk, because I'm not really sure if that's like bannable or flagged by anti-cheats. But yeah. Then you have browsers. So the most used browsers are Brave and Chrome. In my case, I have Chrome, so just go to that folder, run as admin, and this will pretty much disable the services from Google Update bullshit and then queue any stuff that are running and delete some of the files, which pretty much everything here is like bloatware from the browsers. And then Brave is the same thing, as you can see. It stops the Brave, then deletes Brave, then stops Brave M, and then Brave Update pretty much deletes it. Then you have device cleanup, which is just run, select all, and then remove selected. In my case, I've already cleaned this. I do this pretty much every start of my PC. And yeah, now we will show you my game settings, so see you in game. Alright, now that we're in game, we go to the settings. So everything here should match the config. 98 should match the config. User parallax should be off. Then this 4 should be off as well. 3D resolution will show as 100, even though it's 99 in the config. That's fine, don't touch it. Show FPS should be on, and then this 3 should be off. Then on sound settings, sound quality should be low. Some people might use high, and the reason that some pros use high is actually if you use visualize sound effects, it actually increases the range that you see the footsteps. So let's say right now the range is 10 or 15 meters. If you have this on high, it can increase it maybe by 1 or 2 meters. And that's the reason why a lot of pros actually use high. And it also obviously makes the audio quality a little bit better. But Fortnite, as we all know, has shit audio systems. So even if you have it on high or low, or even if you have 3D headset or some bullshit, it will still be the same dog shit audio. So it doesn't really matter. But if you don't really lose that much performance, in my case I don't, but I don't really see a point of using high. yes, the effect of like having slightly higher or like further view distance on footsteps is nice, but don't really care about that. Then everything here is fine. Then you wanna go to game, then go back to the bottom and energy saving, make sure it's never off. HUD is pretty much 80 and 65 is what I use. Then for mouse and keyboard, you wanna make sure that you stay between 5 I think or 8, and that's pretty much for 800 dpi. If you're on 1600, you wanna be somewhere between 3 or 4. That's like the most optimal sensitivity for Fortnite. Then targeting is whatever you like. Building sensitivity, adding sensitivity, and first person mode should all three be on 100. If you modify any of this, it actually speeds up your sensitivity up here. So if you, let's say I have this on 6.4 right now and I increase building or editing, whenever I do these two actions that have increased the percentage, it will actually make this sense actually feel worse or faster, and therefore it will make your aim and builds not consistent. So you want to make sure that these three are always on 100 and this 4 whatever you like, but I will not recommend you going over 8 maybe on sense, since that's like the most people recommend or the pros that use, which is between 6 and 8, and then for like 1600 as I said, maybe 2 to maybe 4. That's like the most optimal. Then zoom scaling, you want to make sure that this is set on legacy and not off or standard. And then walk input as mouse, you want to make sure that's on. Keyboard movement, it's optional, but in my opinion this is the best movement so far for the game. 75, 90, 135. And then pretty much for the bottom, you have public game stats. I disable that. Pretty much everything that can be disabled here I already disable it, since it's just bullshit that doesn't really matter. And that's pretty much the settings. Now another thing that I actually forgot to mention is that textures. If you have decent system, even though if you don't, sometimes actually setting this to high can increase your FPS and your average and lows. In my case, if I go to creative for real game, this will actually increase my FPS by 30 or 40 FPS. And the reason behind that, it's actually putting more stress to your GPU instead of CPU. So as we know, Fortnite is CPU game, and this will actually increase the GPU usage a little bit, so it gives you better results. I did test this on 3 PCs and how did perform better, with only one showing bad results on high and epic, but it worked fine on medium. So that's why some pros also keep that on medium or high, and then their viewer distance usually medium or medium high, or far and medium. So yeah, that's pretty much all the settings for the game. But yeah, peace.